Hey everybody, it's Gail, and this bonus video is brought to you by the Herrschner's fall catalog dropping into my mailbox yesterday. And it is, the fall catalog has a bunch of new stuff. And a couple of years ago, I sat down and I went through the entire Herrschner's catalog and did a video about it and went kit by kit and talked about what I thought was cute, what maybe wasn't my bag, and that sort of thing. And I enjoyed doing it, but Herrschner's does not put out brand new stuff all the time because they're kit based, and that would be insane. So instead, I've been kind of waiting for them to like refresh because like they always have like I believe it's at the beginning of the year you get you get all the winners of like the Afghan projects, and I love that. But the fall catalog's got a bunch of new stuff, including a bunch of new wearables. So it seemed kind of perfect. So let's do this. This is my second attempt at filming this video. I filmed it last night, but I had a migraine when I filmed it, and I look like absolute hot death. Um, I look pale today, but I think it's my normal pale. So I've got some water to help my voice. The previous video was an hour 20, so let's see if we can trim that down, but keep all of my rants. There will be some rants, there will be some jabs. Please understand, I'm not super serious about any of my jabs, but I am going to be talking shit on Beige Mom's giant crochet hooks as related to why I think the yarn companies are pushing them. And I've got a rant about fast fashion and granny squares that you'll get to. So, like, those three are coming up at some point. But let's start off. I've got all of my photos down here on my computer. I've got the catalog in my hand, and so I think I can keep myself in order. So we're starting off on this front page, which is technically not the cover. The cover is 2 pages in because they put all the yarn sales on top of it. And I only want to mention one thing here, which is that there are these 2 yarns at the very top of the list. There's Sundance Lively Lash, and there is Department 71 Sparkle Lash. And I've been crocheting regularly and with like determined passion for about 20 years now. I picked it up again when I was about 22. I'm going to be 42 in December. And that's really important here because I didn't know that Fun Fur had made a comeback. So 20 years ago, what you got for eyelash yarn was Lion Brand's Fun Fur. And it looked like these eyelash yarns, and it was inescapable. Okay, it was fucking everywhere. Everything had Fun Fur, or the Red Heart version of Fun Fur, or like you could not get away with it. So seeing it at the very top of the circular makes me think that there is a chunk of crocheters who are way into it again. Which cool, have a great time. I hated it at the time because it was fucking everywhere and I hated working with it. Now I'm just like, yeah, like whatever. But also I've been stitching for a lot longer now than I was then, so I probably can work with Fun Fur a lot more easily. All right, so that's just my comment there. Moving forward, we are on the Christmas clearance page. And the very first project we're going to look at is the Very Merry Afghan. I like this. I think this is a great ripple Afghan, and you're going to see a lot of ripple Afghans if you've never flipped through the Herrschner's catalog. They love them. And I love the color choices here. I like the off-white instead of a really bright white for this. And I also like that the stitch pattern looks a bit like evergreen branches. I think it's really cute. By the way, remember, we are mid-September. Oh God, I've rhymed. So if you see anything here that you're like, that would be perfect for someone's gift for the holidays, you're going to want to get it now. Okay, you're going to want to get it now. Get the kit now. And that's why I like Herrschner's, is because you can just get the whole thing at once. They will send you exactly the amount of yarn you need. They will send you the pattern. They'll even throw in a hook if you need one. And apparently all of their kits come with storage bags so you can keep things nice and clean. So that's one of the things I like about Herrschner's. But yeah, just remember, if you're trying to do holiday stitching, you need to get going now. Next up, we have these poinsettia dishcloths. And I spent my entire goddamn year making pot holders. I love these. I've always really liked these. I think these are very pretty. They in the previous video I did about the catalog, there's tons of them. My one concern about these dishcloths is I worry about like gunk and mold and smell clinging to like all the little places in between the petals and in between the layers. Like, how long does this take to dry? This is 3 layers of cotton. But that is my concern. I think you could also buy this kit, make these, and then you can slap some flannel or some felt on the back and have pot holders, and then you don't have to worry about the smell. So that would be my advice. Next is the Holly Jolly Houndwear. These are little bandanas to make for dogs, and I mean also cats. It doesn't have to be species exclusive. Yeah, look forward to this. This is most of the video. So I have an issue with Herrschners that goes way back. And my issue is that there are times that the photographs look wonderful. And I'm like, wow, that's exactly what I want to see if you're trying to convince me to buy something. And then you have stuff like this where if you look at the fringed bandanas, they are very straight across the top. And then when you look at the other bandanas, they're sort of curved across the top. And I don't know what the difference is in how you make them, but it looks sloppy. And you might be thinking, Gail, who fucking cares? And that's fair. But the point of this catalog is that you want me to buy this kit and make this thing. And if I'm going to do that, I want the thing to look the absolute best it possibly can to give me a sense of like, what is the best version of it I could make? That's kind of the point. And of course, these are bandanas for animals. The animals aren't going to give a fuck. Nobody who sees an animal in a bandana is going to give a fuck, and I get that. But also, if you are someone who likes to do any sort of charity work, this kit would be great. Buy it, make 6 of them, drop them off at the animal shelter, let them put them on the animals that like to wear bandanas, make them even cuter for adoption photos. Yeah. Coming up next is Frosty Fellows. This is a set of little snowmen. They're very cute. I would never make them because this kind of detail work, like all the tiny scarves, all the tiny hats, all the little eyes, I would go nuts. And this is actually a really good example of the problem I have with some of Herrschner's photography, because 2 of these guys are leaning pretty hard, like maybe they're a little, and then the third one down, his nose is like way off angle. And then the one on the end looks like he's having some sort of neck problem. He's like, that's what I was looking like yesterday with the migraine, was just like, ow, ow, ow. And I don't think any of that is intentional. I think someone made these, didn't pay attention to their detail work, and then took a bad photo. But they used it anyway, and that's a problem. Like, go on Ravelry, look up free amigurumi patterns, and you're going to find better photos than this for something somebody put out for free. That's all I'm saying. Coming up next, the Season's Greetings Afghan. This one goes out to all the beige moms who allow a little bit of color in their houses for the holidays. It's a little mean for the Afghan. The Afghan's pretty. And there is some post stitching here that I don't know if you can just barely see it in the catalog. You can barely see it in the photo as well, but when you zoom in on the website, you can see it. I think it's probably one of those that looks really, really pretty in person, and they just didn't photograph it well. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to be coming after beige moms, because there's some stuff in here I was like, ugh, beige moms. Look, if you prefer a very minimalist color scheme in your house, it's your house. Do whatever the fuck you want, but I'm not for it. So let's move on into the first official page of the catalog. So there's the cover. And now it is the book club collection. Rest and relaxation await with this special collection inspired by a quiet night curled up with your favorite book. I don't think Herrschner knows what a book club is. You leave the house for book club. Or at least you're not alone for book club. Maybe you do it virtually. I don't know. Anyway. That ad line got me. So we're going to start with the book club cardigan. This is a big long cardigan. It looks very cute. It looks like it's all shell stitching. I really like the shell detail on the edging on the lapels. I am concerned about those cuffs. Those cuffs look like they're going to stretch out really easily. I'm betting they're probably completed last, and what you do is you work alternating front loop, back loop, single crochet to do them. They don't look like post stitches, and post stitches are better for that kind of ribbing because they will hold their shape better, whereas that front loop, back loop will stretch a little bit. It's not a huge deal. If you like this and you want to make it, my recommendation would be to get your hands on some elastic thread, like 5mm elastic, and then work it along the back of the work. Don't work it into the stitches themselves. Just let it line the back of the work, and that is going to keep those cuffs looking a little sharper. I got tips and tricks all over the place, kids. In fact, here's another one. This is the Hooked on Books tote. This looks cute. I'm bored by the color, but that's me. Like I said, my concern about this is in the catalog and even in the website photo, you can see, actually in the website photo, but also in the catalog is what I meant to say. You can see light coming in between the stitches on the strap of that bag. That's bad. This is meant to carry books. If you can see light like that in the strap of your bag, it's not going to carry a lot of books. This is going to stretch out. So I would recommend either when you start the strap, double over your yarn and just work it according to the pattern, but also pay attention that it's not getting double the length that you want. And that will help with that by reinforcing it with its own. So that's the crochet solution. Just double up your yarn for the strap, work it that way. It'll make it stronger. The other things you can do include you can get some interfacing. So you can iron in some interfacing. You can make a second strap or use a piece of fabric. And then you can sew the fabric over the interfacing, and that will reinforce the strap. Or if you crochet another strap, you can just crochet the two straps together over the interfacing, and that will keep the strap. Now, interfacing is made to keep things a little stiffer, so the actual strap itself probably won't fold as easily if it was only crochet. So keep that in mind. But the other thing you can also do is get a hold of, it's called waist beading. And it's actually just woven fabric. It's like 1-inch woven fabric. I used it in my dirndl skirt. And the goal of it is that it's used in skirts that are going to be heavy to help keep the waist good and tight and neat so that the weight of the skirt doesn't pull it down. And so it's also good for things like straps on bags because it's going to do the same thing. It's going to reinforce that area and keep it from stretching. Now, waist beading, you can get that at Joann's, Michael's, anywhere. But it's also like backpack strap fabric. It's just any woven fabric that's kind of used like on backpacks. There's also like parachute strap, it's called. I've got some of that I use in some cosplays. So anything like that, you can get it, you can sew it in, it'll hold. And then, of course, you can crochet another strap to hide that, or you can leave it if you like it, or you can add some fun fabric, whatever you want to do. But I will be referencing back to the fact that straps need to be reinforced throughout this. So that is the next tip I have. Coming up next, we have these Soulful Stories slippers. This is the photo that made me the maddest in the entire fucking catalog. Because it doesn't look like they made any effort to make these look cute. These should look cute and cozy and fun, and they just look sort of misshapen and weird. I also do not like, this is my least favorite variegated, not ombre, but variegated, you know what I'm talking about. Yarn color, this beige and white. I have such a visceral hatred of it that is based on nothing but my own preferences. And so they used my least favorite color and then made no fucking effort to make these slippers look good. Like you can see there's curling on the corners that could have been steamed out. There's the slipper that's sort of angled, looks like it's been bunched up a little bit. Like this is not a good photo. And again, it just bugs me because like you're trying to get me to buy this kit, and like the color thing on its own does not matter. Like it's fine. Um, but it's the fact that I just find this a very sloppy photo and it pisses me off. Uh, Moving into something I like very much, we have the page turner poncho. And I am not a huge poncho person, but you know, I can appreciate the style of them and I like this. This is just like, here is a poncho, here is a body blanket, because that's what it's meant to be. They want you to like curl up with it and read your book. And I'm like, I like that. And this is easy crochet. So this is a, you know, if you're looking for a first wearable and you're a poncho person, this could be a good kit for you. Also, it comes in a few different colors, which you'll have to go to the website to see all the versions. Um, but the other thing is that in the catalog, I wasn't sure about this colorway. Seeing it on the website and being able to zoom in on it, it's really pretty. It is really pretty. I like it a lot. And I think it's one of those that'll really pop, you know, if you're wearing it, you know, in real life. What do we have next? Oh, we have the book baskets. See previous rant about worrying about strap stretching on the tan one. I am also worried about the stretching on the blue one because it's only hanging from that one ring, and they're telling you that this is to hold your books, but I don't know what they're doing to reinforce any of this. You know, I've got a few yip yips around that I've made from a pattern, and if they stretch, it's cuter because they're yip yips. But like these are meant to be sort of sophisticated crochet accessories for the home. So you don't want them to be super stretched out and looking a little worn. You know, you want them to keep their shape. I also have a problem with the fact, so this is a 2-project kit. So you get both of these in the kit, which I like. But I really hate that you've got this flower motif, not motif, excuse me, this flower stitch pattern on the tan one, and you can't really see it because it's in the same color. And it's like, well, use a little bit of the blue from the other one to make the little flower stitches, and then you can use a little bit of the tan to make the little button on the blue one if you want to, and then you can see the fucking flowers. Yeah, you know me, I get weird about details. Speaking of details, this bookworm blanket, it is in, I don't like this color at all for a blanket, personal thing, of course, but that aside, if you enjoy sampler work, so if you enjoy doing a lot of different stitches at once, this is a sampler blanket. I don't know if they have other colors for it. You would have to check the website. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's only selling the one color. But I do think the stitch work is interesting, and I bet it would be a lot of fun if you like to do that kind of thing. And the result, like, I think it would be really striking in a different color. I just think that the brown sort of eats its own interest, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, that's the best I got right now. Lastly, in the book club collection, we have the novelist hat and scarf, and the ad here is amazing. Textured stitches mimic typewriter keys on this matching striped set. I don't think a lot of novelists are working on typewriters anymore. That's a frightfully romantic idea of how any of us are writing anymore. Like I'm not like it's just a silly ad line. I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I do like this stitch. This textured stitch is interesting. I don't like this colorway that they're selling it in. Especially not that really light orange on the hat. It looks like someone spilled a soda on it. It just, I wish this kit came with some other options in colors because I would love to see it in anything else. Let's just say anything else. All right. Moving forward, we're going to see some, I think we're going to be in some, okay, we got some new ones and a couple of classics here. So, first classic is the Glow Wave Ripple Afghan, and we will see a different version of this a little bit later. So, this is one of those Herrschner staples. This one Ripple Afghan, but also two, this sort of combination of solid colors and this sort of confetti style coloring of yarn. I fucking love this version. I may actually buy this for myself 3 projects from now. I'm not buying yarn right now unless I absolutely need it because I have so much project yarn right now. I don't need more yarn in the house. But this may be something that I buy for myself in a few months when I've cleared some space. And I don't know if it was intentional that these stripes are the bisexual pride flag, the pink, purple, and blue. But I love it. Definitely love it. And all the confetti, it's very queer. No notes, definitely need one. Things I don't need. This granny square poncho. I'm not a poncho person, but so this is made with the Herrschner's worsted 8-stripe yarn, and you can, but this is the only colorway that you can buy in the kit, it looks like. And it's so brown, and not even fun browns. It's just boring. Like, granny squares, you can do so much with granny squares, but the number one thing you can do to make them awesome is give them a lot of color. And it's just like, oh, there's a little bit of blue, there's a little bit of yellow, but it's mostly brown. So, like, if you have a recovering beige mom who likes ponchos, this might be a good fit. Next up, we have the diagonal ripple Afghan. This is another staple of Herrschner's. And the idea of this is that it works with the self-striping yarn, the Herrschner's worsted 12-stripe yarn, they call it. And I like a good self-striping yarn. I don't like when patterns are made where the self-striping isn't even. And if you look at this, there is a spot kind of near the bottom where there's a big chunk of tan that built and rebuilt on itself, and it doesn't look right, because the point of self-striping yarn is that it all kind of evenly stripes out. And so I don't like those big blocks of color like that, even when they're not tan. I know I just did a tan rant. So you're going to hear a repeat of that too, because it's something I look for when I'm looking at patterns for self-striping yarn. I want the stripes to be fairly even, and I don't like it when they're not. But into more new stuff in the catalog, we have the Forest Cable Sweater. I think this is cute. Very slouchy. I love the use of post stitches and the pointed bottom to give it sort of a leaf effect. I think that's really nice. It is made of acrylic, and the thing about it is I don't have any problems with acrylic. I don't have any problems with any acrylic. This is not a yarn snob thing. This is a sweaty thermoregulation thing. Acrylic does not breathe like a natural fiber does, and that is its downfall for me as a fiber for making anything that is going up against my skin, because all I will do is sweat, and then the sweat has nowhere to go because acrylic doesn't wick it away like wool or cotton or linen or any of that, and it also doesn't breathe, and so you just get kind of swampy. So your mileage may vary. You may be fine in acrylic. This is a cute pattern. Do what you will. This is one of those times I wish that Herrschner's would just sell the pattern separately, so that I could get the pattern and then find a natural fiber yarn. But they don't do that because it's all kit based. Maybe they do it for this. There are a few that you can find the patterns, but I'll have to dig in. But usually that's not the case. I do have one specific gripe with this, and it is the back of this. I cannot tell if that little raised tip at the bottom of the sweater is meant to be purposeful to continue the sort of leaf motif, or if again they didn't do the finishing work of maybe washing this before they styled it, or steaming it to make sure all the edges were laying correctly, and it bugs, okay? Because if you've worked with Red Heart Super Saver, and I think we all have, you know that when you first work with it, before you wash it, it can be very scratchy, it can be very stiff, and the edges can curl up. And once you wash it, it all sort of mellows out. And I've never worked with this particular acrylic, so I don't know if it has that same thing where, like, once you wash it, it mellows out, it's great. But I get suspicious when I see little things like that of, like, is this actually going to lie the way it's supposed to? Moving on. We've got another new one. This is the russet striped Afghan. I really like this. I think this is pretty. I like all the different colors that are worked into this on this white background. This is something I could definitely see myself making because it looks like it would be fun to make, and then tucking away and using it as a Christmas gift or a donation or something like that. A lot of kits that Herrschner's puts out strike me as like great for that. You buy it because it looks interesting, you make it, and maybe it's not for you, maybe it's not aimed for anyone, but you're like, I'll find a place for it, and so you tuck it away. The reason I don't have sort of a storage spot of like crochet stuff that I can, parcel out that way is because we do not have that kind of storage in our apartment. I would love to have like an understairs cupboard that I could just turn into that's where the crochet projects go that I don't know where they're going yet, but it was really fun to make. That would be great. Speaking of, it looks really fun to make. This is the Autumn Squares Afghan. This is another one that's in the catalog all the time. And I was looking at this really closely because I was trying to figure out if these leaves were appliques or not, and I don't think they are. I think you work the leaf, and then you work a white border around the leaf, and then you make the granny square out of that, and then it's surface crochet around the edge of the leaf and down the center to create the leaf edging. And I think it's really, really cute. I love the use of the dark green in here as part of it. I think it's really cute and fun. Not at the top of my list of, oh my god, I need to buy it to make it myself, but I think it's cute. Now, into an absolute staple of the Herrschner's catalog, we have these Ripple Afghans, and they call it Ripple Reverie in the catalog, but these are actually 4 different kits. The one you're looking at on the screen right now is the Spiced kit, and I chose it because it's got the best contrast in the main color and the edging color around the confetti sort of yarn. And so I thought it looked the best. There's also one in blue, one in purple, one in green. And again, pick your favorite color, make it, stick it on a shelf. If you're looking for something to make right now because you want to donate something to charity for the holidays, or you've got an office white elephant coming up, or you know that you might end up pulling the name from the hat for the family present of someone who, like, maybe you don't know that well, but you do want to make an effort. I think this would be great for that. Like, it's one of those to me. Is like, just they're staples is what it is. The Herrschner's is really good at these staples that you can just make and have ready, and that's valuable. Coming up is this is new. This is the Cranberry Creek Afghan. I love this purple. This is another one high on the list of things I might have to buy eventually and make for myself. I also love, this is a great use of this off-white. I think it gives you a nice contrast, but also it gives you like a little more like color sophistication than if it was like bright white. And I really dig it. I'm not sure how it's berry colored hues make this pattern sweet and sophisticated. It doesn't give a hint of how this pattern is worked in terms of color. But I think it might be, I think the off-white stitches might be cluster stitches, and then the purple stitches are worked sort of in between them and dropping down a row. That would be my guess. Although it's marked easy crochet, so I don't know. I don't think that kind of dropping down would be listed as easy in Herrschner's. But I really like it. I think it's gorgeous. Speaking of staples, prayer shawl. It's a prayer shawl, and it's in white. I mean, I have no connection whatsoever to prayer shawls. I remember them being the thing for a couple of years, and it just was never anything I was interested in making. This one looks very nice. Now, there's a photo in the catalog of the back of it, and it lies very nice and smooth, which is what I want to see when I'm looking at a shawl. It doesn't say if you can get it in any other colors, and it's just so, it's so bland. It's hitting me right in the bland. Even with all those different stitches, it feels very bland to me. On a less bitchy note, this is the travel blanket. So the idea with this is that it's the Go Team. It's Herrschner's Worsted 8 MVP yarn. And so what you do is this kit comes in a bunch of different variegated colorways that are, I would guess, the most often combined colors for team sports. And so what you do is you pick the one that matches your team's colors, you make yourself a blanket, and then you take that blanket to go to events. I grew up in rural Arkansas where Friday night football at the local school was a big thing. I'm betting this blanket's all over those bleachers. And oh, let me see. What did we make? Oh no, they don't have our. Oh, here we go. Dark green and white. That's what it would be. Yeah. Um, my one thing about this is that it mentions here in the catalog. It shows that when it's closed, like what the shape is, and then on the website it says it folds down into a travel pillow. And I think that means there must be a button somewhere. So like when you fold it, then you can button it, and then it's like a little pillow until you need it, and then you can unfold it and it's a blanket. But the button is not in the photo, so I'm not really sure how that works. I would like to know, though. I really would. Okay, now we've got another new Afghan, and this is the Autumn Harvest Afghan, and this is a great, great use of that sort of confetti colored yarn. And I love the use of the green and the red and the yellow on the edges of the white stripes. I think this is a very striking piece. And I think it's just really lovely. And I think it does exactly what the best Herrschner's projects do, which is look really good, but probably it's pretty simple. It's marked as intermediate crochet, and you will have a lot of color changes, and it looks like there's some cluster stitches, but it seems very doable. And that's something that Herrschner's really leans into, is stuff that looks doable. And it looks doable, and I also think it looks very, very pretty. We've got another new one, although you will recognize it from a previous photo. This is the Holiday Waves Afghan. So this is the glow wave that we saw a little while back, but what Herrschner's has done is put together several kits in several colors to make them holiday themed. And this is the Halloween one that's up on the screen. It's the only one I'm going to show on the screen. But they have Harvest, which is using those colors we just saw in the Autumn Harvest Afghan. Easter, which is pastel as fuck. Christmas, which is green and white and red, of course. Birthday, which is just a lot of bright colors, and the idea of the confetti yarn for that birthday Afghan, I really like that. St. Patrick's Day is green and white. Valentine's, pink, white, and red. And then Patriotic. And I have had beef with the Herrschner's catalog for years for this, because I know Herrschner's is an American company. Okay, it's been around for 125 years, and I know that because there are patterns in here that are celebrating that fact. But why not call it 4th of July? And that's the thing, they always call it patriotic. They never call it 4th of July. And I'm like, you mean 4th of July? We all know you mean 4th of July. Just call it 4th of July, because patriotic, I'm like, okay, us in France, I guess. And I apologize if you are in a country that has a red, white, and blue flag, and I don't know what it is. But, yeah, it's one of those things that just, it just irks me in this very small way that is of no importance whatsoever. But it's my video, so you get to hear about it. Coming in next, we have the Berry Cute collection. This is not a new set, so I imagine this is something Herrschner's has had for a long time. And the idea here is that you make the bears, and then they have all of these outfits you can make for them. And the thing that really struck me looking at this, the one on the screen has the overalls, which I think are very cute. Every other set is 2 dresses. And I'm like, but you made pants. Why not a few more pants? Like, it doesn't have to all be dresses. It's just, I don't like it. It gets me in the non-gender. All right, it gets me in the non-gender. I admit it. I'm like, why can't a few of these be pants? It would be fun. But the other thing I'm trying to figure out, because I'm looking at the kit breakdown, and each of these outfits is a different kit. So, and they have, it's funny because they have the starter set in here that's just the naked bears, but you can't actually buy that one. You will be buying, what is this? Very cute. Sorry, I just noticed something in the listing here. Okay, buy Bears kit and all 6 outfits. Okay, so that is an option. You can buy the bear kit and all 6 outfits, but I think otherwise, if you buy these individually, you are getting the bear part of the kit every single time. And it's possible on the website that you have the option to not get that. They might just have the outfits, but I didn't look that deeply into it because getting all the photos together for this is a 2.5-hour job, and I wasn't going to dig down at that point. I think these are cute. You know, they're fine. More pants. They have legs. Give them pants. Coming in, we've got another classic Herrschner's blanket. This is the Autumn Blossoms Afghan. I like this. I really like this color usage. I think it's very cute. I'm probably never going to make it because I don't do a lot of piece together Afghans like this. But I think it's cute and stylish, and I think it's a piece that you could make and somebody would really, really love it. Where am I now? Oh, okay. Next up, we have the Cloudburst Throw. And this, I had so many flashbacks of watching that Joanna Gaines show on HGTV, the one where everything, no matter what the house looked like before she started, it ended up white and gray when she was done every fucking time. I literally, anytime I see like a vague gray anywhere, I just think Joanna Gaines gray. And this is, Joanna Gaines would have loved to have this to set a house. Like, would have loved to have this. That being said, I think this is a very cute, thought out project. The Catherine's wheels to make it look like fluffy clouds, the lace edging to make it look sort of wispy. I feel like this is a really strong idea someone had, and I think the use of the gray and white makes it look really, really good. So, you know, I contain multitudes. Coming in next, we have seasonal wreaths, and you can buy these separately, or you can buy them as 2 kits. I'm sorry, you can buy them as 2. You can buy both kits at the same time. They're fine. Something about this, I don't know what my problem is with these. They're just not hitting right, and I think it's that both of these, there's 2 different yellows in the fall wreath, and there's 2 different reds in the winter wreath, and you can't really tell unless you're really looking hard at it. And if you're trying to do like a cool monochromatic thing, I'm gonna need a little more contrast in the actual color you're using. I'm gonna need a much brighter or a much darker version of one of the colors, because it doesn't really pop the way I think they want it to pop. And now I consider this, so this next one, this is the Herrschner's blanket. This is the Shells and Lace Throw. It is marked as a customer favorite. It's a bestseller, 5 stars. I am certain so many of these blankets end up everywhere. Genuinely surprised I don't ever recall having one, given the number of people in my family who have stitched. I really like the way that this photo is set up and shows you the other colors you can get it in. I think that's really nice. And this is easy crochet, so I imagine this is a lot of people's first blanket as well. And what they get out of this is this very pretty, textured, interesting looking blanket. Definitely one of those that I would buy to make and tuck away and wait for the perfect moment. Like, that is what that blanket is for, and more power to it. We've got another new one now. This is the Rustling Leaves Throw. I love the use of post stitches to make the little leaf images on this. I fucking hate that the middle of this is blue. It should be red because it's supposed to be leaves. Now, if there is a leaf that turns blue when the weather changes, please tell me. I've never seen it. That sounds awesome. But I've seen a lot of reds. I've seen a lot of pinks. I've never seen a blue. It does not work for me in this context. Next. Here we have the modern retro ripple Afghan. It's a retro redo. In celebration of our 125th anniversary, we dug into the Afghan archives to find this customer favorite pattern from back then, bringing it into the now with updated colorways that make this throwback design trendy. So first of all, this is just a single crochet ripple Afghan. You can find this all over the internet. It is so easy to find this and make it yourself in whatever colors you want. And the other thing is that it's not retro. I have this rant about vintage versus retro, and here it comes, and I apologize if you've heard it from me before, but it's important, okay? So this is not modern retro ripple Afghan. You can't be modern and retro at the same time. Retro means that you made it now and it looks old. Vintage means it actually is old, and so you can't have something be modern and retro because modern is a different design idea. That being said, this is also a vintage redo. They went back, they found an old ass pattern, they reviewed it, they updated it, they used some new colors so that it looks like the old thing. This is using vintage to make it look retro, but by using the current colorways, it doesn't look retro at all, it looks modern. Hold on. One of these days I'm going to die getting hit by a bus crossing the street because I see a sign that says retro and it means vintage, and I'm walking across it yelling at the sign. Anyway, next thing. This is the Mulberry Medley Throw. This is a new project. I think this is lovely. I love this. They say it's faux lace overlay to give it a Victorian vibe. Absolutely. Definitely another one in my top list of need to grab that at some point. I just think it's gorgeous. And now, more things that are called retro. Although this one's a little more correct. So the retro collection, reimagine retro kits to crochet your way back in time. They're reimagined vintage kits. But we have, the first thing they're showing are these two vests, and you can get them as two different kits. We have the Boho Blossom vest, and then there is the, what is it called? The Vintage Vibe sweater vest. And both of these, I think these really were made from vintage patterns. When you see people trying to get the vintage pattern look by rewriting or like writing from scratch, they tend to sort of tweak details that they're not a huge fan of, and these both have that look of a lot of stuff I've seen from the era that they would have been popular. Keeping in tradition of the era when they were made popular, these are made with acrylic yarn. But, you know, these are both probably from the late 60s, early 70s. So if you want to be super authentic and sweat your tits completely off, here you go. Next up, we have Granny's Groovy Scarf. I hate the lace on this. It takes away from the very sharp edges of these really fun and interesting granny squares, and I think it is a waste of the design to put that lace edging on it. Now we have the Mod Medallion pillows. This is two kits. You can buy them together if you want. And the thing I like about this, these aren't quite my style, which is not really a huge factor for evaluating the project. Like, well, I don't like it. So like, I don't like if it hits you in the happy place, buy it. Like, enjoy yourself. But I do like that not only are the colorways very different, but also the centers of these flowers are very different. And so I think it's a really good way of having two kits that are fairly similar, but there is something very different about them to make it worth getting both of them. So good job there. And where are we now? Here we are. We're at the Retro Revival Ripple Afghan. A rainbow of ripples and vintage hues. No, they're not. Makes this Afghan a crochet classic. Just because you put together a bunch of colors that were very popular at a certain period and aren't as popular to combine together now, that doesn't mean they're vintage hues. It's just they're colors. They're the same colors we had. This is, if you like these exact colorways, buy this kit, make this, it's great. But this is an absolutely classic 2-row color change ripple afghan. You can find instructions for these literally everywhere on the internet. So if you just like the look of it and want to make your own, you can do that just by doing some searches for like 2-row color change ripple afghan. Like that'll probably get you what you need. We have another new one coming up. This is the asymmetrical wrap. I hate it. And I hate it because I feel like if you're going to call it a wrap, it should fit around the shoulders. And more importantly, this looks like a cowl that was hang dried when it should have been laid flat to dry, and then it's just stretch. Like, it just looks uncomfortable and weird to wear. I do not care for it. Another new one, this is the Mosaic Stripes throw. I think this is lovely. I like the use of this gold as the complementary color to all these other colors. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Come here. It is mid-September as I film this. Actually, well, no, wait. We're technically in late September. It's September 22nd as I film this. You do not have time before the holidays to make this for someone. I don't care how many mosaic projects you've done. I don't care if you can mosaic project anything. You do not have time. And my God, if you've never done mosaic or you're new to mosaic, you absolutely do not have time. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. If you do want to make this, buy the kit and make it because you want to make it. Or if you're going to make it, plan to give it away on the next set of holidays. Do not try to get it done before the holidays. Because the thing you have to remember about mosaic crochet is that every row is actually 2 rows, and they are projects you really have to pay attention to on the details so that your color changes hit where they're supposed to. So just don't do it. Don't look at me. Don't do it. Flipping through. All right, we are in... Where are we? Okay, we've got this very cute, simple dog bed. I love this. I think stuff like this is a great way to get people started working on larger projects if that's what they want to do. And you're making this with Premier Basics Chenille Brights, which is a super bulky. So, what size hook? On an L hook. So, it's going to be a good starter project if what you're wanting to do is get used to working on larger projects. I would honestly make one of these for Bean, but she has 3 beds in the living room, and then she sleeps with us, and she spends all day in the beanbag. So I think she's covered. My one complaint about this is that this is supposed to be showing off the Chenille Brights from Premier Basics, and there are much brighter colors they could have used for this photo. But you know me, if it ain't saturated, I don't want it. Speaking of saturation, this is a new one we are in the Red Heart section of the catalog at this point. I'm on page 18. This is the Field of Daisies blanket. This is cute as fuck. So the reason this is not in the retro collection, if you're wondering, I would guess is because the retro collection is all focused on Herrschner's patterns and Herrschner yarns, and this is Red Heart. So this is a different company. And I love the color usage here. I love the layout of the daisies. I love that it's the same square over and over, just in different colors. That's one of my favorite things about working in motifs, is that you can make something really interesting, but only have to do one thing over and over. And also, I don't always love tassels or fringe on stuff. But these little daisies on the corners of this blanket are just singing. They are just the perfect addition to this. And I think they're stuffed. I think they might be stuffed a little, which is great. I love this. This is going up high on that one of these days I should make it list. When I say I don't really work in a lot of motifs or granny squares, because I love the crocheting part. It's the sewing that shit together that makes me crazy. But this is one of those, I'm like, this is worth that effort. And that's kind of how I choose those projects. Is like, Do I think the final design is going to be worth the effort? I did a motif coat that I really need to remake because I realized I used the wrong size yarn. It's back in the video somewhere. And even though it came out the wrong size, and even though I can't actually wear it, Sean can. So like I turned it into a robe for him. It was so fun and it was so worth it, even though I fucked it up in a couple of ways, because like it just was such a fascinating design. And this is fucking cute and I want it, so I'll be willing to put that effort in. And actually, as we're talking about Red Heart, we need to talk about the fact, because it's about to come up, that they have really been amazing about figuring out yarns with trustworthy color pooling and with trustworthy striping. And it's such an interesting thing because it's always, I think we all think of Red Heart Super Saver as that's the beginner yarn. That's the acrylic you buy because you're learning how to crochet and it's the cheapest yarn and you're not sure yet if you want to spend money on yarn, and that's totally cool. And so you go and you get the Red Heart Super Saver and it's a little scratchy and a little stiff, and then you wash it and it softens out and you're like, okay, it's not bad, it's just not my favorite. And so I don't think any of us expected that Red Heart Super Saver was the one who would come in and lead this charge towards yarns that color pool if you use them according to certain patterns, or yarns that stripe if you use them according to the patterns. And honestly, should not have been surprised. Red Heart's been around for 100 years at least in some form or another. So like, of course they figured that shit out. But it was so interesting to me when that first became a thing, when you could get yarns that did that Red Heart was the one who got there first. And it's been a big game changer, I think, in a lot of stitching of like how people work with those kinds of yarns now and how popular they are now. And speaking of that, let's talk about this fringe shawl, which is made of Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. And you will notice the color pooling is perfect. Note that there is not any part of this that we can see where any single color is taking over like a chunk of the pattern in a weird way that breaks up the actual stripes. That's what I'm talking about Red Heart having this shit on lock. Unfortunately, whoever made this didn't wash it before they photographed it, and you can tell that because you can literally see how stiff it is. If they had thrown this in the washing machine and thrown it in the dryer, it would have been nice and soft and made a beautiful photo. And instead, I'm looking at this and getting mad because they didn't make the effort. The fringe on this appears to be, it looks like it's probably, you single crochet into the previous row, you chain out a number of stitches, and then you single crochet up those stitches, and then you join at another stitch on the edge of the shawl. And that's an interesting way to do it. I certainly would appreciate not having to tie a bunch of knots, but they look like gummy worms. It looks like someone attached gummy worms, and I really think if they'd washed this and put a little effort into just treating it like it was a project they were proud of, it would look a lot better. So that's yet another rant against the photography in this magazine. But let's look at something beautiful now. This is the Coral Hexagon blanket. This is new. And it says it's available in all colors. So if it is it's Super Saver Ombre, so it's available in all the colorways that Herrschner's has. And I love this. And this is such a great example of how good they are at this. Because if you look at each of these individual hexagons, they're all different. But they all match in a way. Because it is the same colorway, but also the way the color pulls out in every single one fits how it looks in the next one, even if it looks different. It's beautiful. I would really enjoy making this, although I don't think I would want to sew it all together. That is the decision you have to make. And speaking of things that Red Heart got really fucking good at, this is the Pack-a-Punch backpack. This is new. This is specifically to be used with the Red Heart all-in-one granny square. So the idea of this yarn is that if you make the granny square according to Red Heart's instructions, you will get a perfect granny square that you don't have to change colors on. That is some tight shit right there. And it says here that one ball makes 14 granny squares. Looking at this backpack, I think it takes 14 squares to make it. So that's very good. Like, all you need is this one skein of this, and then a little bit, and then like a skein of white to do the detail work. My previous conversation about concern about the straps stretching applies to this very much. Any of the things I've already mentioned about reinforcing the straps would work fine with this. I think it's really cute. I don't go for this style of backpack, but it is very popular. And I have a rant about granny squares and fashion coming up soon. Just hold on. But first, actually, wait, I might have missed the point where I meant to do that rant. This is a very important rant to me, so stand by. Checking out some things. Oh, no, I remember where I did it. Okay, yeah, it's coming up. So this is Bernay blanket, and this is the basket weave blanket, and the photo in the catalog does not look good. It really is not a good photo. The photo on screen right now is great. I think it does a really good job of showing you that basket weave texture. For your extreme beige moms, here's a gift. And we're making this on an L. Something I'm curious about, because I don't work with Bernay blanket very often. I don't work with these blanket yarns in general very often, the super bulkies. Is it difficult to do the post stitches? I'm just curious because I'm thinking about it as you're using a larger hook on a larger yarn, and chenille is slippy. So I'm just wondering, if you work with Bernay blanket more often, like, do you find doing any sort like textured stitches, do you find them more difficult? Do you find them easier? I really am curious to know. I have no idea. And I like Bernay blanket. I think it's a nice yarn. I just don't prefer to work with it that often, so I don't experiment with it. That being said, I would like to introduce you to my nemesis, which is this bobble around blanket. This is a new pattern. This is my nemesis for two reasons. One, I don't really enjoy doing bobble stitch, which is hilarious because I have a vintage pattern that is nothing but bobble stitch. Actually, two of them, which will get made at some point. But I don't enjoy bobble stitch, and I don't like putting fringe on things. Like, you really gotta make an effort to get me to put fringe on something. And it's that it's just repetitive and kind of boring. So this blanket is like, this is the worst kit anybody could get me, I think, because it's all these rows of bobble stitch and then it's all this fringe. But I think the blanket itself is very nice. I like the use of the bobble stitch to add some texture and to kind of frame it, and like then it's double crochet in the middle where it's a little so that's simpler. It's simple stitches used well. And then I think the fringe really adds to it as well. I think it's worth it to go through the effort to make it. I just don't want to be the one to do that. Now, one I would be willing to put the effort into, actually, is this Color Weave Oasis blanket. This is also new. We are still using Bernay blanket. And I love this because the main afghan is very, very simple. It looks like it's probably just single crochet. You're only doing color changes at the end of every row. And then you're doing some surface crochet to add that extra bit of visual interest. But I am also curious if surface crochet is a very slippy thing anyway. I do quite a bit of it. And so I am wondering if you work with Bernay blanket and you're looking at this, are you screaming internally at the idea of having to do that? Do you find it to be more annoying, or is it fairly easy? You know, like, anything can become easier with practice. And so I'm looking for knowledge that I don't have, just from pure curiosity, like, because to me it seems like it would be very slippy. But I'm also thinking about the hooks I use when I'm working with larger projects, and my larger hooks are all plastic, and so that could make a difference. You know, there's a lot of factors. This is the Wave of Phase blanket. This is to be used with Bernay blanket Perfect Phasing, which is an ombre yarn. It is a new pattern as well. I hate this fucking photo. I want to actually see what the whole blanket looks like. But also, you can tell they didn't wash it because the edges are curling up on the bottom. Like, the corners are curling up, and that bugs me. Okay, we have the crochet motif throw made with Premier Basics Super Bulky. So basically Bernay blanket, but not chenille. I think this is cute. I don't like that gray as the backing color. I don't find it attractive, but I do like the overall look and the pattern of it. I know like 5 people who are probably making this blanket right now, and I don't mean that they actually have the kit, but like I can think of 5 people who, if I showed them this kit, they would be so excited. Oh, speaking of nemesis, what is it when it's plural? Nemesis is? I don't know. Hold on. Let me hydrate for this. So we need to talk about the creation of jumbo yarn, also known as a size 7, also known in my house as absolute fucking bullshit. And the reason we need to talk about this is because here's the tsunami throw. This is a ripple blanket made with jumbo yarn and a size T hook. This is a size S hook. This is 25 millimeters. A size T hook is 30 millimeters. I don't have a size T hook in my house, and hopefully I never will. My problem, I want to be clear, my problem with the giant hook and the giant yarn, it has nothing to do with crocheters should make X, Y, or Z. Make whatever you want. Have a great time. If you enjoy working with these giant hooks and these giant yarns, enjoy it. My problem is that there is a price difference that pisses me off, and there is a feeling like the yarn companies, they saw that people were using a lot of chunky and bulky yarns for stuff, and we're like, what if we make an even bigger yarn? And I'm like, what if you go to hell? Because here's the thing, this Soho, we're making it with Soho Colossal. So they have a big 10.5 ounce ball of Soho Colossal, and it is 36 yards for $7. Also, in this catalog is a 10.5 ounce Bernay blanket skein that is 220 yards and $13. So for just a little under twice the price, you can get, it might actually literally be exponentially more yarn. And it's still going to be a large yarn that you use a large hook for, that will make it easier for you if you are new to crochet, if you're concerned about working with smaller stuff, if it just helps you visually to have larger stitches. Like, it's all already there in a yarn we already had with hooks that already existed. This T-hook jumbo yarn is just bullshit created by the yarn company to find a new way to make people buy more yarn and more hooks, and for frankly projects that don't look that good. Okay, like the tsunami thing, this ripple afghan, it doesn't look that good, and I cannot imagine the absolute agony of trying to do a decrease on a ripple afghan with a fucking T-hook. And here are some other ones. We have the jumbo throw, which whatever, and then you have the biggie blanket, which is done with this is probably back loop, front loop, alternating rows. And here's the other thing about this. Blankets are a large project no matter what yarn you're using. It's going to take a lot of whatever yarn you're using to make a blanket. If you're only getting 36 yards per ball, and these throws are, what are these? This is a 40 by 62 blanket, the biggie blanket. The jumbo throw is 45 by 60. The tsunami throw is 42 by 62. These are large projects. And they are being made with a yarn that either comes in 30 yards a ball or 36 yards a ball. You are going to have to be adding yarn on constantly. And if the point of making these jumbo yarns and these jumbo hooks and all this bullshit is to try to get more people into crochet by making larger yarns and larger hooks so it all looks easier, you're making it harder on them by selling them 36 yards a ball, because you can't fucking do anything with that amount of yarn at this size. Whereas what you could have done is just kept promoting the Bernay blanket that you had that does so well, that everybody uses for so many things. We're going to see it several more times in this. And using hooks that already exist, like the Q hook, the P hook, all of those in the latter half of the alphabet. We already had this, and then I truly, honestly believe that going up like this made it worse. I think that what is happening is the yarn companies came up with this idea to be like, oh, this is the fastest project. It'll take the least amount of time. I'm like, but the effort in hauling around all of that yarn in your lap as you're working on it, the effort of storing all of these tiny skeins, even though it's 10.5 ounces, it's only 36 yards, somewhere in your fucking house while you're making this giant blanket on this giant hook that, like, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And none of these convince me that the size 7 jumbo is worth a goddamn. End of rant. All right, let's talk about something that I think is really beautiful. All right, let's talk about this woven pattern mosaic blanket. Isn't this a fucking piece? Look at this. It's gorgeous. And I love the use of the different motif sections. I love this would be worth the French. It really would, because it is what makes it it's that final bit of work that really brings it all together, because it's meant to look like a woven blanket, and woven blankets have that fringe. Very, very, very worth it. 100% a fan. I'm never making it because I also don't kind of want to do the fringe. Okay, what else do we have? By the way, that is a new pattern, that mosaic blanket. And again, no, you do not have time to make it before holidays. Don't do it. Now we have the Moss Stitch Ombre blanket. So this is going to be a really easy one. It's marked as beginner, and I think that's very accurate. Moss Stitch is a great beginner-friendly stitch. And the fact that it's ombre means you're probably not going to have to change yarn all that often. I don't love the colorway for this kit. The greens don't really pop, and that throws off the whole look of it. I still think it's probably going to be very pretty. You probably know someone who would really like it. Big fan. Now we have the Random Waves blanket. This is new. And this is a pattern. There's variations on this wave pattern kind of all over the place. Like, you can probably look up like crochet wave stitch and see a bunch of them. I like this one particularly because my mother-in-law adores the beach and going to the ocean. And so if I made this for her, she would really enjoy it because it would remind her of the beach. So I think that's nice. Next up, this is another new. This is the Twist and Shout Tweed Cowl. And they are noting that it is, that texture is the star of the show. And that's a great thing that you wrote in the ad, but I can't see it in the fucking photo. I can tell that there's some sort of ribbing. And I think it might be like alternating ribbing. It's not basket weave. But I think there might be some sort of alternating ribbing going on. And I really would like to see it. But even like zooming in on the photo on the website didn't really give me a sense of what it was. And like any other color, I think would have made the texture stand out more. The problem is that you're using a white yarn to do a textured stitch, and it can be very hard to photograph that. Where are we going next? Oh, oh man. All right. So you know how I said that I've been crocheting with like intent for 20 years? This is a new pattern. We're in the Lion Brand section now, by the way. This is the boho poncho made in homespun, and I laughed so hard because 20 years ago, this was I think the original was shell stitches, not the granny squares, not the granny stitch. So it's a little bit different, but 20 years ago, this was the Martha Stewart getting out of federal prison poncho. And it was dark green, and it looked very nice, and it was made in homespun. So, a fan had made it for her, and it looked so nice. I wanted to try to make it, and I had to be reminded yet again that homespun kicks my entire ass. But yeah, flipping the page to this, I was transported back 20 years to when that poncho was, everybody wanted that poncho. So good job, Lion Brand, calling it new, when it's not. And that's fine. Who gives a shit? What they mean is that like they put the pattern out again and now it's available. But like I laughed so hard. Lacy Bolero. This, it looks cute. It's acrylic, so it says to wear over your favorite summer outfit, so it is, but like, it was such a hot summer, I cannot imagine putting anything acrylic on my body anywhere if I could help it. So I am very biased right now. Moving forward, this is another new one. This is the Point Hope cardigan. This is made with Lion Brand mandala. Is it the gradient? So there's the mandala, which is color changing, and then they have gradient. Oh, gradient is all one color. I see. Okay, I figured it out. So this is made in mandala, and it looks like the color pooling is working really well. Like, I'm not, I can't see the back of it obviously, but it looks like it's all working out very nicely. So you don't have big chunks of one color in a weird spot. You can tell they did not make any effort to wash or steam or press this before they photographed it. You can tell if you look at under the waist, you can see where the edge stitching is a little bit uneven, and that's something that can soften up if you take a little time after you finish a project. Yes, I will continue to bitch about it. This is new triangle shawl, which is another one that made me laugh because I have seen a version of this shawl forever. It's existed forever. And this is to be made with Red Heart Super Saver Brushed, which is an acrylic that is a little bit fuzzy. They're probably trying to look like mohair, which cool. The problem is you can't see the fuzz in the photo. And if the best quality, and if part of the quality of this yarn is that, you can get sort of a mohair effect, I need this to look fuzzy in the photo. It doesn't look fuzzy in the photo. I thought maybe it was textured stitches or something. It was only after seeing that it's supposed to be fuzzy that I was like, oh no, that's actually, the yarn is a little bit fuzzy. And so I would like to just see that it was a little fuzzier. I would also like to see it in a different color because this dusty pink is so fucking boring. Like, this is the pink that beige moms allow in their house for Valentine's Day. Coming up now, we've got another new one. This is the Ellie shawl. Excuse me. It's ELLE. I mean, it's a standard granny pattern shawl. It looks fine. Again, I can tell that they didn't make an effort to do any sort of finishing work on it because of how it's laying, and there's a little bit of a wave in the bottom edge that could have been fixed by taking a little time. But, it's cute. It'll get the job done. Probably a really good shawl if you do any sort of stitching for like hospitals or nursing homes. That's going to be lightweight. It's going to be easy to make. It's also going to be easy to clean because it's acrylic, so it can just pop in the wash. All right, coming in, this is a new one. This is the Granny Cabana shirt. And now is the time for my Granny Square rant. Here's my Granny Square rant. Let me get a sip of water. So the rant goes like this. A few months ago, Taylor Swift walked around in a Granny Square Stitch dress. And I looked it up because I was like, holy shit. And it was fucking fast fashion. And that was $120 for the dress, which is better than what a lot of fast fashion stuff goes for at like Target, Walmart, Kohl's, all those places. But it was also clearly actually the Granny Square stitch. It was not like fake stitch on a knitting machine Granny Square. There is a difference. Which means that somebody had to sit down with yarn and a hook and make that dress with only their hands and body. And then the company that sells it only sold it for $120. And when that dress happened, there was a TikToker who ended up making her own version, and she looked very cute in it, by the way. And it took her 12 hours, and she didn't add sleeves, and this thing had sleeves. And so if it takes her 12 hours and she stitches on a regular basis, that's probably a fair estimate for what it took the person who made it themselves. But there's these added sleeves to it, which added more time to it, and so this person was definitely underpaid for their work. But because Taylor Swift wore something with a Granny Square stitch, Granny Squares are back again in fashion, and they're not going to go away for probably a year, which means that we have another fucking year of more fast fashion horse shit of Granny Squares being made by machine, being sold as crocheted by machine, when they're not actually crocheted by machine. It's knitting machine stitches being used to mimic crochet stitches. But then the other thing is that what it does is, once again, it makes people think that granny squares are cheap, and they're not. And so it just pisses me off so much. And like the other granny square retro stuff too, like but this was the one that made me realize why I was getting so hepped up looking at those other ones, is because an incredibly rich person who could have bought an actual handmade piece, and this was an actual handmade piece, but bear with me, from someone and pay them the actual wage they deserve for their skilled labor, didn't do that. And what that has led to now is another push of granny square fashion. That means that skilled laborers, whether they're working at a knitting machine or working with their hands and only their body to make it in actual crochet stitches, they're not getting paid a real wage. And the machine versions are not going to hold up because it's chain stitches instead of actual double crochets. But then also it leads people to believe that handmade items like granny square projects shouldn't be that expensive. And so it devalues crochet as an art form. It devalues skilled crafters who can make that art form. And it just pisses me off so bad. It pisses me off so bad. And by the way, yes, I do have a similar feeling about it when it comes to knitting machine stuff that's made and sold super cheap, because the people running those machines are clearly not getting paid a decent wage either. Like, fast fashion is a fucking problem. I'm not judging you if you go out and you buy fast fashion for any reason. Like, it's your money, it's your body, whatever. But please be aware that if you see anything in a store that is labeled as crochet and says that it was machine crocheted, no, it wasn't. Those are knitting stitches that are aping crochet stitches. But more importantly, the person running that machine deserves to make more than whatever they're making so that you can buy that fake granny square top at Target for $30. And even more importantly, if you want the real thing and you go and look it up, you don't get to be pissy that it's going to cost you a lot more. Okay? Moving on. This is fine. And there's another one here. This is the Rustic Summer Vest. This is fine. Neither of these are my vibe. I'm not going to be making them. But like, if you like them, it's fine. They're acrylic. See previous rant on acrylics. Coming in now, we have this simple cowl, and this kit, you get you get the yarn for all 5 of these in the kit. I like that. I think that's a good idea. You will note it's got like the craft fair symbol in the corner there, saying, it's great for craft fairs. And that's true. This is one of those projects that's really great if you do any sort of craft fair, because you can make them quickly. It's a simple stitch pattern. You can make a bunch of them in different colors, and then it's people coming and grabbing their favorite color of something. If you're charging less than $30 for one of these, you're doing it wrong. That is my one note. Actually, second note, this is another one that would be great if you do any sort of charity stitching, because you get enough for 5 of them, and then you have 5 cows that you can donate someplace that needs them, to a shelter, to your community box if you have one. We've got a community cabinet up the street, so good for stuff like that. And now the only man in the whole catalog, this guy, he is wearing the Audra cardigan. This is new. This is being made with, this is Mandala Impressions, so this is a variation on the Lion Brand Mandala. I think it's Mandala, actually. Yeah. And I think this looks nice. Again, see my self-striping yarn thing, although I don't think Mandala is meant to be self-striping in the same way as stuff that says it's self-striping. So, feel free to ignore that. You can tell, again, that they did not do finishing work on this. If you look down at the bottom hem, we've got that curl that happens sometimes on bottom hems. And I also feel like the sort of gathering on the bottom, I can't tell if it's intentional or not. So that's a problem. But, I mean, it's easy crochet. If it's your bag, make it, Coming up next, it's called the Easy Shrug. And, yeah, probably. So I like this for what it is. It's not something I would make for myself, but you've got cuffs going. I think it's cuffs. Oh no, she doesn't have cuffs. My mistake. I got confused because you can see the bottom of the sleeve. But, it looks like it fits well in terms of what it's supposed to be, which is a loose fitting, comfortable sort of cocoony project. I do want to note that the photo in the catalog was this, which tells me nothing. Like, okay, there's a back to it and it's shapeless because that's the style of it. I was like, but what does the front look like? So I'm glad the website had the front facing photo. I would have liked to have both of them in the catalog personally. Moving along, we are coming into, I think this is the only pair of socks in here that are crochet. So these are the watermelon socks. This is a new pattern, and you're using the Premier Fruits. And the idea of the Premier Fruits yarn is that they are set up so that when you stitch with them, they shape up into fruit colors. And in this case, you've got the black dots for the seeds, which I think is really cute. There's also a dragon fruit pattern that has like the black dots for the seeds, and the rest of them are just like, brightly colored and named after fruits. But I like that a couple of these actually have, like, when you stitch them according to the patterns they provide, it looks like watermelon. That's cute. So these are, it's interesting because this pattern is actually free on Herrschner's. When I went to grab this photo, the pattern is available for free. So if you already have some of this yarn at home, you can grab the pattern for free, make these. Otherwise, of course, buy the kit. The one thing I'm going to note here, these Premier Fruits is acrylic, and that means if your feet sweat, you're going to have swamp feet. So just be aware and pay attention to when you're wearing them, because with acrylic not being thermoregulating and not wicking away sweat, that actually means that in winter it can be bad for you to wear, because when you go outside, that sweat has not been removed from your skin, and so your skin is cold, you're out in the cold. It's actually not great for you in those situations if you're going to be out in the cold for like a period of time. Like if you're popping out to run to the store or whatever, you're fine, but I'm talking like it is not a substitute for wool-based items if you're going to be outdoors doing stuff in the cold. All right, we have Lion Brand mandala string. I like that Lion Brand has adjust, like, there's some super fines now. This is a size 1 yarn, and they're doing more with smaller yarns and sort of encouraging people to work with them. I like that. These are all in different colors, and the striping looks pretty nice. This my first thought when I saw this was that it should be called Juice Cleanse, and I'm really sorry about that. It's actually the Crescent Eyelet Shawl, but just the colorway, because it's meant to be very, very bright like that. But, it's meant to look very citrusy, but my brain does what it does. Where are we? All right, this is the Cluster Columns wrap. This looks really pretty. I love how this color pulls out, and so this is marked as easy. So it looks like it's just shell stitches, and I think you're working in the center of the shell stitches every row. Yeah, you're stacking shell stitches on shell stitches, and then probably single crochets, maybe double crochets on top of each other, and that's how you get the pattern. I think it's very pretty. There's a lot of different colors available, and they should all pull out like that. So a good, cute one. This is another new one called the Premier Mesh Bag, and I had a good laugh because they probably spent an hour trying to come up with a better name than that, and then nothing. It's a mesh bag. I'm worried about the strap. Go forth and conquer. This is new. This is the Gulf Coast top. It is made of cotton, which is very exciting. Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. And I've worked with a lot of meshes in the last couple of years because they're very popular in vintage patterns. And let me tell you, if you've never made a top before, mesh is the way to go to make your first top. Okay, It's very easy. It goes pretty fast. This is marked as easy crochet, which makes me think that either you're working this from the top down and doing the sleeves first and then just skipping stitches to start the center, or maybe you're working from the bottom up and um, the sleeves are really easy to add. I don't think it's a raglan. I don't see the raglan increases, but it is easy. I think it'd be a really good one to start for like the first thing you ever make to wear. This is new. This is the bold mesh cardigan. It fits the bill. It's mesh. It's brightly colored. It looks very wrappable around you, which is nice. It's also made of I think this is cotton acrylic. Yeah, so I'm much more willing to do like acrylic blend stuff than I am to do full acrylic for wearables, because the cotton's going to make it a little breathable, and that's the big difference for me. And I think it's so funny. Oh, they have Kobu here because the knitting pattern has Kobu. I really like Kobu. I think Kobu is very pretty. It splits a little too easily sometimes, but it's got really good. They've got really good colorways, and it's very soft yarn. But there's nothing actually Kobu made. So let's go to the next one. This is the Arabelle Table Runner. This is made of Willow Farms farmhouse cotton. And I think it's a cute table runner. I like tassels for table runners because they also work to sort of weigh them down. I don't like that variegated tan and white. See previous rant about visceral reaction. This is the Farm Fresh tote. It is a tote. See previous comments about straps on bags. By the way, if you're concerned about making this, this is likely made in, it's either made in the round or it's made in two pieces that you then sew together. This is not motifs. This is a style of stitch that looks like motifs but does not require you to sew them together. So don't worry if you're like, it's cute, but I don't want to do motifs. You don't have to. Next up, we have the Greenery Shawl. This is a bestseller, apparently. And the front of it looks very nice. The back of it I have a problem with because I don't like that bump there. If you remember, the prayer shawl had a perfectly smooth back. So you can absolutely make shawls with a perfectly smooth back, and they didn't. Or they didn't pin it correctly and didn't care. But also, this has clearly not been blocked or washed or pressed or anything, as you can tell by the wavy edge of the bottom edge there. So maybe if you pressed it, it would lie flat. Although honestly, with the bump like that, it's not going to lie flat across the shoulders, and I think that's a pain in the ass. This is the Boho Baby Lace Dress. I think this is very cute. I do have a question for people with tiny humans, because there's a number of baby patterns that have open work stitches in them, or just like in this case, yeah, there's open work stitches here, plus where the shells start, that's kind of open. Don't the little tiny fingers get caught? That's always been my concern, is that like the little tiny fingers are going to get caught. But then, even if they don't get caught, I feel like it becomes a jam delivery system to under their clothes. Like, the kid's got jammy fingers and goes boop and gets their little fingers between all those stitches, and then you have jammy tummy. But I don't have tiny humans. I've never had tiny humans, so I don't know. But I do worry about the little tiny fingers when I see patterns like this. This is the Comfort Cardigan. This is new. I really like the stitch work here. I can't quite tell how they're making those open stitches, but I like the texture. I like this blue. I think this is a nice blue. I am concerned about the cuffs here, like I was for the boho, the book club cardigan at the beginning. I think those cuffs are going to stretch, but I think it's fixable, like I said, with a little bit of elastic thread. So this is a bestseller. This is the Poised Poncho Top, and this is going to be very funny because I just posted a video about making a big giant square top for myself and how much I loved it. I don't like this photo. I don't like how this looks, and the reason for that is because the only way to know how these big square styles are going to look is by having shoulders. It doesn't have shoulders, so it just looks like, I can't tell how it's actually going to look on a human body because it's not on a human body. I need a model in this so I can understand what it looks like. Although the fact that it's a bestseller, probably the people who make it really enjoy it. So, that's something you can always kind of use as a gauge if you're not sure, is if a lot of people have made it, and they're like, here's my thing. It's a bestseller. It's got 5 stars. Read the 5-star reviews, but also read their 1-star reviews, and remember that people are much more likely to leave a review when they're pissed off, and that maybe the problem isn't the pattern. Maybe the problem is something you did. In the same way that, like, when you see bitchy restaurant reviews where it's clearly it's like, you were the problem, my dude. Like, the restaurant was fine. You're just a dick. So, there you go. This is the tassel wrap. It is exactly as advertised. It is a wrap. It has tassels. It's cute. No notes. Yeah, that's just some stuff I just don't got a lot of feelings on. All right, we're getting to the middle of the catalog here, which is all the tools. And I've got the hiccups, excuse me. And I am intentionally not stopping to look. I have enough shit in my house. We're getting into the baby stuff. Starting with this cotton candy waves blanket. I like this. This is a good use. This is probably alternating shells, it looks like. It's a little fuzzy. And I think it's a cute baby blanket. I don't love pastels even for babies. It's just never been my vibe, but like, it's a cute blanket. That's kind of how I'm trying to evaluate the stuff, even if I don't like the colors. This is the Lollipops baby blanket, another cute blanket. No real notes, except there are open stitches in the white section. So again, what about the tiny hands? And then we have, this is a new one. This is the Colorful Blessings baby blanket. And this is another stitch pattern that you can find on the internet really easily if it's just the stitch pattern you're interested in. I think this is very cute. I bet it would do. I bet it does gangbusters at the baby shower. We've got the Shell Symphony baby blanket. I don't like how this color pulls out. I don't like how that yellow looks in that. That is a personal matter. See previous rants. This is the Lavender Lace dress. Again, tiny hands, open stitches. And then this is the Enchanted Ripples baby blanket. Again, this is one of those staples. You can just look up Starburst. I think it's like Starburst Afghan or something. Yeah, I think it's like Starburst Afghan, and you can find this basic pattern anywhere. And of course, if you prefer to work it with the colors that are here, buy the kit. I will note the color pooling on this on the edges is not to my taste. We've got the Sweet Sprinkles blanket. I really like this because they're like, the hardest part will be finding the color. I'm like, that's a good ad line. It's marked as easy crochet. You're probably just working like half double crochets to make this, and you're letting the yarn do the heavy lifting for you. And I like that. That's never a bad thing. Especially if you need a lot of baby blankets very quickly, which I know some people, depending on the size of your family and friends group and how many people are having kids, that can be a problem. Where are we? Okay, we are on the ice cream sandwich Afghan, and I am finally okay with weird color pooling. It does happen. And the reason I like it here is because the whole point of how this works out is that they're trying to kind of evoke like ice cream carton, like when you open the Neapolitan and it's all those striped colors like this, it gives the same vibe. So I really like this. I think it's cute. I wouldn't want to, I think you probably have to stitch them all together, and I don't want to do that. Next up, we have the Geometric C2C blanket. I think I like this. You're making this with Bernay Baby Blanket. I think it's Bernay Baby Blanket. Yeah. And so I've already asked the question about the post stitches. What is it like to color change using Bernay Blanket when you're doing like corner to corner where the color changes have to be pretty precise, because these are clearly color changes are happening mid-row in here. So I'm curious, what is that like? Do you find it difficult? Is it slippery? Is it totally fine? Do you get used to it? I'd like to know. All right, this is the diagonal stripes blanket. You can get it in this color, and it also comes in aqua. So you can get it in pink or blue. I can appreciate the simplicity of that. You can have it in the girl color or the boy color because it's for a baby. Gender is a social construct. And I like the use of a repeated texture stitch across to give it a little more visual interest. I like the edging here. I feel like this is one of those that you can just put in your back pocket for when you need a baby blanket. Like, you make this one, it always does numbers at the baby shower because it looks pretty, and, go about your day. All right, we are getting into the scrubby yarn, and I am delighted at this one. This is a new one, and it's called the multicolor bag, and I love this because there was a point that I had some scrubby yarn, and I thought, this would be the absolute perfect yarn for making a bag to take to the beach. And I started working on it, and then I got bored, so it never got finished. But I love that I was right. I love being right about this sort of thing. This looks fantastic. And the reason it's great for the beach is because this is all supposed to be used to, like, clean your dishes. So it's going to get wet and be fine, and it's going to dry real fast and be fine, and it's going to be perfect. I think it's a great use of this yarn. We've got, these are Give a Hand scrubbies. These are new. I don't know why they have the old-fashioned safety razor and shaving brush as part of this. It's a weird photo shoot. I think these are cute. I like them in this green. I also would love to make them in the red that you can get them in because bloody handprints. I have a whole creepy bathroom thing, so bloody handprint scrubbies would be perfect. But also, like, it feels like this is one of those ways that you get your kid to take a bath when they're like, I don't want to take a bath. Next up, we have scrimmage scrubbies, and as someone who has so much fandom stuff in their house, this is just a small taste. And my degree. I love using the team colorways to make scrubbies for your kitchen because you love your team, so you want your team colors in your kitchen. And I love the little washcloth, the football washcloth. That could also be a hot pad for the coffee table when you put the dip down. So, it's cute. It's fun. Like, that's one of my favorite things about stitching is that you can personalize it. And so I like when you see stuff like this where it's like, well, pick your team colors, and then you'll have your team colors, in your kitchen where you may not have a lot of team colors, but you want some. And now this is maybe the cutest thing in the whole catalog to me. These scary scrubbers. This is a simple project made perfectly. The little monster faces, the different eyes, the different mouths, like, this is fantastic. I can imagine so many kids going absolutely crazy. Like, this, by the way, this is how you give kids a sensible Christmas gift that they're not going to be like, ugh. Because these have a little character, they're a little fun. My grandmother was a socks and underwear grandmother, but she would find fun patterns, and so it was more fun that way, and that's what these make me think of. Also, if you've got a weird kid, make a set of these, make some of those handprints in red, that kid's never leaving the tub. And now, for an absolute classic, these Cup of Cleanliness dishcloths. The kit does give you enough to make all four. I am betting you Herrschner's has been putting this kit out since, I'll say, the 1940s. Like, I have seen this pattern in so many dishcloth pot holders, quick tricks books. Like, it is a classic. And when you look at it, you can see why. It's an easy shape, but it has some visual interest. And it just is, it's nice and it's simple. And cups have continued to look like this. So you can just keep putting it out there for people to buy. All right. These are totes from Lily Sugar and Cream. You buy them separately. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to show them to you separately, but they're on the same row here, which is why I was talking about them like you buy them together. So this first one is a granny square tote. That thing is going to stretch like a motherfucker. If you note the the join that they use does not join all of the stitches across. It's in the middle and all the corners, so that thing is going to just hang. If you make this, I do recommend that you back it with fabric before you sew it all together. I think that's the only way it's going to keep its shape. The totally triangular kit, this is cute, and the idea of it is that you can make this as long as you can make rectangles. And so you make a main rectangle, and then you make 2 other rectangles, and you fold them together, and you seam up a little bit. My problem is that the way that this photo is taken, those flowers are at the very bottom of the tote, sticking out of the very bottom of the tote, and so I can't quite tell how much space is in this tote. How high does it actually hold stuff in? Like, I need somebody to make this and throw in like your keys and a book and a wallet and like whatever you carry all day, and then do a big swing and see what falls out. I need a test. I need a use test. All right, let's go into some thread stuff. This is new. This is the crossbody boho bag. You make it with Aunt Lydia's. It's it's a very classic style of bag. It's motifs you sew together. You make a side, you make a flap. This strap on this bag is more likely to hold its shape than some others because crochet cotton just holds its shape a little differently than other yarns because it's thread. I would still reinforce this strap. I would also never, ever deal with the fringe on this thing. It looks obnoxious. I don't like flighty fringe that you have to kind of smooth down all the time, and that's what I would be doing. This is the Sweet Clover Table Runner. I think this is really pretty. It's a new one, which is exciting. You don't see a lot of table runner patterns. Like, I mean, they're not something people do anymore, really, except for, a few people. But I like that the fact that there's a new one to make makes me think there has been an uptick in people making them. So that's nice. It excites me. This is another new one, the Rambler Rose Pillow, and I had a chuckle when I saw it because we were at a it's called Cargo, and it sells space to individual artists. So like it's basically a flea market, but it's like fancy flea market for lack of a better term. And I swear to you, I saw, if not this exact pattern, something very, very close to it. And someone had made the front and then sewn fabric onto the back to turn them into pillowcases so that you could just get a round pillow and stick them in there. And they were lovely. And this is lovely, although I don't love this purple. But you can tell that the stitch work is very lovely. It's going to be something very interesting, but it's not new. This version of pillow has been around for probably 100 years. And I just note that it's not new because, yeah, it might be new to the catalog. But they went in, they found an old pattern, they dusted it off, they made it again. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you like this kind of stuff, you can find a lot of versions of it in a lot of places. Look up like bedspread crochet pillows, and you'll probably get some examples. Also, the person who was selling those crocheted pillowcases was charging $283, and I'm very, very proud because that is what you should charge. Because this is a lot of work and a lot of skill, and you deserve to be paid for your labor. This is the Lacy Table Runner. This is a classic in the Herrschner's catalog, and it's not lacy, and that bugs me. It's granny squares and then granny stitch along the edges and then a scalloped edge. It's not lacy. It's pretty. I like it. I would prefer to make it in something other than the 3 colors that are available, which is rose dust, white, and silver. But again, you know me in saturation. Elegant evergreen towels. This is new. I think these are cute. I like a bit of minimalism in design occasionally. I know that doesn't sound like me. I like them. I think they're nice. If you have a beige mom that does allow a little bit of color for the holidays, here you go. Holiday Glamour Afghan. This is an ombre yarn. Not ombre, I'm sorry. This is a striping yarn. And there's a variation on this. Herrschner's has a version of this in a bunch of different kit colors under different names. and I don't remember what they are, but this big round Afghan with a bunch of different stitch patterns working through it. Like, you, I'm not. I wish I could remember how to find it, but they do have it in other colors, just under a different name. So maybe if you go on that page, it will recommend one of the other ones so you can see them. Holiday Sweethearts. This is new. They are fucking adorable, and I love them. My first thought upon seeing them was, if you know somebody who has just moved in together, just gotten married, anything like that, this would be a fantastic housewarming gift for their first Christmas. All right, and now we're going to briefly go to Halloween before going back to Christmas and then wandering off again. So we have these Gone Batty ornaments, and you get enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you get enough to make 8 of them. That's super cute. This is how I wanted those snowmen photographed in that very early picture. You notice they are all standing up straight. They all look very uniform. They all look very cute. I also love the use of hexagons for the wings. That's a really clever use of a motif to add a little visual interest, but add a little visual interest. That's all I was going for. And now, briefly, back to Christmas. We have the gnomes. This is the gnome for the holiday ornaments. These were in the one I looked at a couple of years ago. The gnomes have become kind of ubiquitous with the holidays, which I love. I think they're really cute. I've always really liked them. I'm never going to make these because it's all small detail work that makes me crazy. But these look good. I think they will come out looking good. And of course, a good photograph always helps. And going now into the Bumblebee Blossom. It's a cute little friend. I think it's really nice. No notes. Next thing, this is the Emmy of the Month Club. So you can buy all of this at once and get all the kits at once for a big discount, or you can buy individual amigurumi to make, depending on what you like. These all look cute. I don't really have a lot of notes. I do have one thing. One of the things you make are these tacos, and they're cute. But they all look like they're pooping. All right, that's all I can see. That's all I can see, and I looked at them and tried, and all I see is pooping tacos. Moving on. These are the Snuggly Sidekicks. You're using Cheerful Fleece to make this. As the Herrschner yarn. It's a size 5. They've all got cute little details. The one thing I would want is for the cat one to not have that multicolor face, so that I could see the details on the face better, because they're very, very cute. But also, these aren't for me. These you make to, give to your kid or a niece, a nephew, a nibbling, whatever you got. And as a kid, I would have loved that multicolor. So, don't listen to me. And for the weird kid in your life, we have the Chromatic Cobra. So this is the blue one. There is one that is called 90s Vibe, which is a pink one, which they're both great. I might actually end up making this for myself, because the only detail work I would have to do when I was finished with the body is those eyes. But yeah, I love them. I think they're great. This is the Black Cat. I love the little nose, and they should not have used that headband in the photo shoot because it's not part of the kit, but it is clearly made of yarn. And I'm like, but you're a kit-based company, Herrschners. If it ain't in the kit, get it out of here. All right, back to Halloween very briefly. This is Witchy Whiskers. This is the Emmy of the month for October, apparently. What a cutie. I might get this and make it for a friend. I have someone who it would be perfect for, and that is what gets me to make amigurumi, is I know someone that it's perfect for. Otherwise, I leave it to people who really like making them to make them, and then I happily purchase them, because then I don't have to make them. All right, we've got another Bernay blanket for you. This is the Mystical Bernay blanket, with the goal being that it looks kind of dappled, like maybe a little rain fell on it, and it's MIST-ICAL. We get it. You're making a pun. you know, they look like Bernay blanket blankets. They look like they're going to be soft and cuddly. This one is the ridges throw, so you're probably doing back loop, front loop, alternating rows to get the ridges. A nice, quick, simple one that's going to look nice. And then you have the log cabin kit, which I hate because I want to see the whole goddamn thing, and there isn't a single picture of it laid flat. What do we got going next? Here we go. All right, we were in the last row of photos, by the way. This has gotten longer than the last one. I am a problem. This is the Hexy Hug Crochet Cardigan. See all previous rants about acrylic, but, you know, do what you do. They did not try to get this smoothed out before they photographed it. And I am again pissed off. This is a new one. It's the framed granny throw. This is not a new one. This is another blanket that's been around for ages. You can find it anywhere. I hate the brown they used on this. It does not work. It sinks. The brown sinks the rest of the colors. It needs to be a different color. It needs to be a little bit brighter. And that is my color rant. This is new. This is the side-to-side checkerboard hat. This would be great if you're trying to learn color work. This is going to be the kind of project that is really going to get you started well because it's smaller. It's going to be simpler. And because it is just squares, it's going to be a really good way to learn how to do it. I like it in this pink and white. I'm wondering if the kit comes in other colors. I would hope so. That would be really fun to be able to get in other colors. Ooh, green and black for your Minecraft nerd friends? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Colorburst beanie and scarf. It's fine. It doesn't thrill me, and I can't quite figure out why. I don't know. I think I need the bright color at the top of the hat to come down a couple more rows. It doesn't hit in the right spot for me. This is the Cotton to Haze Ruana. So I can't find a photo of the back of this. I don't really know how Ruanas are supposed to be. I think it's just a big long piece in the back. But the funny thing is, if you look really closely at this photo, and if you go on the website, you can really see it. They wanted a little bit of the white background for the catalog to show through at a particular place, but the model had the nerve to have a butt. So there is and I cannot stress this enough, it's a very messy, like, little eraser scribble to make it look like you can see into the catalog page, except that you can still see her butt. Like, they did it right on the seam of the jeans, so I guess she had a Hank Hill ass. They wanted her to have a Hank Hill ass. But, like, you can tell that there's still a butt in the photo. It's, whoo boy. And this is not a new pattern, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on it and see if it's the same photo every time, and if they're just using this badly photoshopped photo. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's fucking fine. This is the Nightscape cardigan. I wish it was in a different color so I could see it more. It's got a scalloped edge, and that's about as much as I can really say about it. And so, yeah, I would like to see it in something else. It's marked as easy crochet, which I'm interested in because it makes me wonder about how the top is made. It might be a top-down raglan. I just can't tell because her hair is where the raglan seam would be to give it away. But I mean, it looks nice. Also, this Bernay lattice has a bunch of, it's all black with different colored threads shot through, and there is a luminous lime and a teal punch that look really fun. And now we finish off. We've got 4 to go, and they're all glow-in-the-dark patterns. So first of all, we have this Sleepy Moon and Cloud. This is made with, this is Lion Brand DIY Glow Chenille. I think this is super cute. I love this idea that you have the white cloud and then you have the glow-in-the-dark moon, so your kid's got a nightlight in bed with them. I had a glowworm as a kid, so same vibe. Same vibe, not full of, weren't those glowworms full of, like, dangerous liquid or something? I should look that up. That feels accurate, but it might have been an urban legend. Moving on. This is a crossbody phone holder bag, also made with Lion Brand DIY Glow. super basic beige pattern, but that's totally fine because absolutely something I need to make for myself because the number of cars running red lights in this fucking city in broad daylight, and being a pedestrian in my neighborhood, something that is going to be very, very bright in the darkness when they're still running the red lights, but I'm harder to see, would be very useful. Speaking of things that would be very useful so I don't die by car hitting, this big chunky hat that the band is glow in the dark and then the top of the hat is gray. Really wish they would have fixed those ends before they took this photo. You can see both of them and it's bugging me. And lastly, the glowy granny crossbody bag. See my usual comment about crocheted straps, but also I love this. I think this is my favorite photo in the whole catalog because this is Herrschner's knowing who buys the glowing yarn. And they know that the people who are buying the glowing yarn aren't always looking to make a hat to walk the dog or a bag to be more visible or something for the kids. They know that some of the people making the bag want it to be glow in the dark because they're going to the rave and the black lights are going to be on and it's going to look awesome. And so this is Herrschner's attempt to be like, we know what you're doing with it, and that's cool. Here's this thing to make. Here's this very fashionable item that you can make with our kit, and it will glow in the dark, and it will be great, and you can hold your water bottle and all of your little beaded bracelets and your cigarettes, and let's be honest, probably some drugs. Enjoy. All right, so that is the entire Herrschner's catalog. I cannot believe I managed to add half an hour to this video refilming it. I really thought I'd slim it down. Well, too bad. Now I'm going to go and wait the very long time for it to upload from my phone so that I can then put it into my editing software so that I can put all 130 photos into this video. This is why I don't do this very often, kids. It's a lift, but I do enjoy it, clearly. So if you enjoyed this, please let me know. If this is something that people like seeing, when Herrschner's has a bunch of new stuff in it, I'll definitely sit down and make the effort. I might continue to make the effort just because, like I said, I enjoy doing it, but it's also nice to know that people enjoy watching it, especially when it's this fucking long. So regular video scheduling through the rest of the year. So videos the first 3 Fridays of the month. And then if there is a 5th Friday, there will be an extra video for you. December will be Vlogmas. I have 3 videos for Vlogmas. I did it. I'm very pleased. Also, if you're a fan of my vintage stuff, well, like all the vintage patterns I work with, there is going to be a bit of a lull in vintage patterns because I made too much thread shit at the same time, and so I just couldn't look at vintage patterns for a while. But there is vintage stuff in the making. It just, there's one for October, but I don't think I have anything for November. December does have vintage, and then January I think is not vintage again. It sort of plays around. Although, honestly, it's possible nobody got this far in the video, so you don't know that. But I know that, so I told you. All right. As always, if you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all of that fun stuff, and I will see you when I see you.